And you'll also learn how to make your own motion graphic title, just like the one I started with at the beginning of this video. Welcome back to Blender for Blogs. I'm Justin, and this is part 2 of the creating your own motion graphic. Last time we learned how to create it and set it up, and this time we are going to animate it. Now, I do have to warn you, and I apologize in advance, that this is a fairly tedious process. Basically, you're going to see more of just my workflow. I'm kind of tweaking things as I go. I'm kind of making a couple mistakes as I go, but I thought it would be good to actually have you see that style, that workflow, instead of me just cutting everything out. Now, I do cut some things out, but I just wanted to let you know in advance, this is more of kind of a workflow type of thing, as with probably a lot of different animations because you're working on the timing and everything. But anyway, just going to go ahead and get right into it, and you'll see what I'm talking about as we go along. So what I'm going to do is have this one come up and then these come out. So actually right now I'm going to hide our shines so we can just focus on these. All right, so I'm going to add a keyframe down here, select that. This is going to be going up and down, so it's going to be on the Y. So I'm just going to bring that down till it's just off the screen, which is going to be around, looks like 310. So I'm going to do negative 310 at frame 1, and then I'm going to hit I while hovering over the Y value. And then I'm just going to extend these up here just a little bit so you can see. This is our dope sheet here. So you want to open the dope sheet into another area, and if you have the summary on, and that not selected, basically you see a whole bunch of different keyframes. I like to take that summary off and then click the cursor, which is only include channels relating to the selected objects, and then I'm going to collapse these. So then it's just one. I only have to deal with one keyframe and not like 50 down here because I don't need that right now. So I'm going to bring that back down and this back down for now. We'll mess with the graph editor in a little bit here. So we've got a keyframe at the bottom there, and I want that to come up pretty fast. So I'm going to just go to frame 5 and then change this to 0, which is the default position, and then hit I over here again. So now we have it coming in from frame 0 to frame 5, up like that. And my computer is going very slow right now, so yeah, so something like that. Okay, so right after this comes up, maybe a frame or two later, that's when I'm going to want this to start coming in. So I'm going to go back to frame 1 and select our top bar. And I just want to bring that starting position out just about right there. Let's see, just do negative 440 is fine. And then I'm going to hit I. And then I'm going to go to I'll do frame 5. I'm going to also hit I here because we want it to stay frame negative 440 until this pops up. And I'm actually going to get rid of the graph editor for now so that I can have a little bit more control over here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I was trying to figure out why this orange bar wasn't there. Basically, this orange bar just means that this keyframe and this keyframe are the same from here to here, but is because I forgot to click my little cursor there. So that means with this selected, these two keyframes are the same at negative 440. If I select this one, it disappears because these two keyframes are not the same for this strip. But for this strip, these two keyframes are the same. So from here to here, it's going to stay at negative 440. And then from here, this is when we're going to start our animation of making that fly in. So I want that to fly in fairly quickly. I don't know. Let's say from here to here, let's try 10 for now. And basically this is going to be trial and error for you. And it actually took me a really long time to figure out the timing of everything and how I wanted it to come in. But I'm just going to try 10 here. Just going to hit I. Oops, I'm going to change this to 0 and then hit I. And you can see now that there's no orange bar there because they're different. Now, let's see what the timing is on that. And this is going to be a little difficult for me on my machine because right now it's being really slow. So I can't really see what the timing is going to look like. Look at that, it's going super slow. Oh my gosh. And I'm not entirely sure why. There we go. Okay. Caching that in a little bit helps. So yeah, that looks all right. I might actually move this keyframe out just 1 or 2 more. Let's do 1 and 1. I could have moved both of them at the same time. Oh well. Let's see what that looks like. All right, cache it in. Come on. Cache in your chips. I don't know what I'm saying. All right. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So it starts coming in here 1 second or 1 frame after that. Okay, so just like that. Now let's do the bottom bar. So I'm going to have the bottom bar start coming in maybe when this is like halfway in, so right about here. So I'm going to select the bottom bar. And we're going to move that. We got to move that actually out. Let's go ahead and hide this for now. And the bottom bar is going to be out at about yeah, about negative 330. So negative 330. Nope. Negative 335. We'll do that. Alrighty, and then I'm going to hit I for that keyframe. I also want to go to frame 1. Same thing, and hit I there as well, because we want that to stay the same until here. Once it gets here, then we want it to start coming out. And how many frames was this one here? From 6 to 11, so basically just 5 frames. So same thing here. I'm gonna go here and I'm just gonna do +5, enter. You could just type in 14 too. But then I'm gonna change this to 0 and then hit I, and there that is coming out at the same speed as the other one, but just a little delay. So select the top one here again, unhide that, and we can kind of see what that looks like. Oh my goodness. Come on. Yep, there we go. Perfect, just like I want it. Okay, and then this is where the shines come in. And so let's do the top shine first. Actually, so this comes in here, and what frame? Okay, so frame 14 is where I'm just going to actually mark that. This is where it's fully in. I don't even know what to call it. Control M to rename the marker. Maybe just all in. There we go. Okay, and now if I select this one here, so I want the shine to come in here. Oh, we've got to unhide it. There, that's why I couldn't see it. Come on. There we go. hide the first one here so that we can see what we're doing, and slide this one back a little bit till it's just off, which is going to be around negative 265. Oh, come on, negative 265, enter. And then hit I there. Now I could go back to 1 and hit I, but I mean, that doesn't matter a whole lot. I might as well do it just to be consistent here. Because, I mean, if that's where it starts, then it's going to recognize that's where it starts. So, but it's probably a good habit to get into. Okay, so it's going to start to come in here. And this one is going to be a little bit longer. So instead of 10 frames, let's start here, and then let's go plus 24. Zoom out here a little bit. That may be too long. So that's like a second, because I have 24 frames per second for my frame rate. And actually, it's going to be like that 23.98 or whatever, because this is a completely separate blend file that I'm using now. Okay, so what was that? Plus 24. So here is where I want it to be all the way on the other side. Like that. So 230, just hit I there, and see how that looks. Of course, that's going to be coming in really slowly. So I can't really tell. And if your computer is going slow like this, it might be a good idea to kind of adjust those animations and then render it out a little bit into a little video. Then you can see how fast it's going, which is what I actually did. I'd get everything set up first though, how I want it. So let's go to the next one. So take this, unhide that. Come on. Boop. Okay, so my Blender was acting up a little bit. I closed it and reopened it. I also closed some other windows. But I was trying to use the shortcut to hide and unhide this thing, and it just wasn't doing it for some reason. Now, I think a lot of what's happening here is that Blender doesn't like the alpha, or it takes actually quite a bit of processing power to process transparency, which seems really strange to me. Like, you don't have to process anything, nothing is there. So, yeah, I think that's kind of what had to do with it. I also forgot this was on 100%. I just cranked that down to 25% for now, and that seemed to have helped. So again, these kind of things with Blender crop up as you go along. Instead of cutting this out, I thought I'd share it with you so that maybe if it's happening to you, you can kind of do some troubleshooting yourself. So anyway, let's keep going here. So I'm going to go back to our marker, jump to next marker, and that is where we're going to come out here like this. So we've got that. Now we wanted to animate the bottom shine there. So let's select that, and we want it to come in probably about halfway as well, or something like that, maybe a little bit sooner. Okay, so let's drag this all the way out. Let's zoom in here a little bit more. And I know it's really blurry, but at least we can actually maneuver a little bit better. Okay, so about negative 125, I hit I there, and then kind of as that right there, right passes that. Well, let's see. So how long does that take? for that to get in. So from 14 to 24, so about 10 frames. So I'm going to go to where this finally cuts out, and then about 10 frames later, well, actually, where does that cut out? Yeah, so about 10 frames later, so about 48, that's when I want the other one to cut out, just because it started 10 frames later, and then it should end 10 frames later. So let's go here. Oh, no, not that one. This one. Do, 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 do. Well, I wonder if that's because of the, proxy size here. Nope. This one is not all the way out. Huh? 0, but that is. Aha! Okay, so this should be 0 to match up with this. So let's go back here. We're going to have to change the starting position of that as well, that bottom shine, because you can still see it there a little bit because we had our mask, my mask was off here. So let's go just a little bit further. Yeah, about -130, I think that'll be fine. Oh, make sure, press I. Now we can adjust this to, so right when the top shine gets done, it's 38, we want 48 to be when the bottom shine gets done. Come on, computer, you can do it. Oh, let's change that back to 25. And bottom shine needs to be at 0, or not 0. Or was that? Slide that all the way to out, right out of the frame. So it's about 260. We're going to say 260. And this part is a little tedious here, I apologize. But this is how you would go about doing that. Now that is cool. There you go. All right, let's unhide this as well and kind of take a look here and see what that's looking like now. Sweet. All right. So this is, oh wait, no, we have to make it go back. So to make it go back, so it's going to be a little bit after that last shine is all the way out there. So that's 48. And then maybe we'll do 50, 58, 10 more frames. And then we'll make everything go backwards. Now, instead of keyframing everything again, we're just going to reverse everything, which is pretty cool. So basically, I'm going to start with the bottom one because we're going to have the bottom one going first and then the top one. So where's our dope sheet here? So select the bottom one. We're just going to reverse these two because this is where they change, these two. So I'm going to select those two, Shift D to duplicate, move those all the way to frame 58. And let's zoom in here to make sure that is on frame 58. Okay, and just with those two selected, hit S for scale and then type -1 and then enter, and that flips that around on the axis right here, the timeline cursor. And now you can see that these are the same, so it stays out in the out position all the way until here, and then it goes back into the in position. Cool. Same thing with the top bar. We're going to do that next. So right when that goes in, or about halfway in. Yeah, about there, I think. So same thing, I'm just going to select these two here. Oops, nope, sorry, that is the shine. We want these two for the bar. Shift D to duplicate that and zoom in here to make sure that this, I'm just hitting G to grab and move these. Over on the frame 60, S, -1, enter, and that should do it there. So perfect. So then those go in just like that. Perfect. And then right here, maybe 1 or 2 frames later, we'll do maybe, yeah, we'll maybe do 2 frames later. Select the top icon there, and same thing here. Select those two, Shift D, drag those out, zoom in, make sure that's on 67. Scale, -1, enter, and then that goes down. Oh, and it looks like I need to change the keyframe on that. Oh yeah, because we keyframed that when our mask was off. So let's go back to our bottom bar here, and let's see, -335. Let's hide these up here, and let's hide this as well. So we can still see that at -335. So we're just going to have to change these, or -440. Nope, that's the top. Gotta make sure we're looking at the correct ones. Select the bottom bar, -335. That's what I thought. Okay. And make sure we're on that keyframe. And we'll do -350. -350. And we got to change the beginning one too, because that's -335 too. So -350 there, and I. All right, now it's all out. Okay, so let's unhide these again. And again, this is tedious. This is kind of the workflow that you're gonna have to go back and forth, kind of looking at that timing and making sure everything is going in and out just right. Perfect. And out, and then wait for a little bit, and then back in and down. And of course, I can't see the timing, so at this point, I would just render out a little video or an image sequence or something so that I can watch that. Probably a little video so that I can just go watch that. Okay, so next, let's just select our shines and just change the opacity down. So we want, I think I chose like a 0.4. I think that was working all right. Copy to selected, yeah. So 0.4 for both of those for that shine. Okay, so now the only other thing here that I want to show you is you can adjust the kind of the speed and the way these come in with the graph editor. So let's drag out another area here and go to the graph editor. So let's see, I'm going to select, let's drag this up a little bit, and I'm going to select the, let's just do the first one here real quick. Oh, let's actually, you know what, let's just hit home. There we go. Okay, now we can see a little bit better. So if I select these two keyframes, you can see it matches the keyframes selected here. So if I hit A to deselect everything, you can see these match. If I select this one, that's this keyframe. This one is this keyframe. So from here to here, you can see it's a linear movement, which actually is what I want. I want that linear movement. Same thing from here to here. If I go press 0, and you can see it's just the opposite. If I scale this in, you can see here's the start, coming out, and going in. And they're just exact opposites of each other. And that's going to be the same thing for the top bar. You can see that. And bottom bar. Now, I actually do want that to be constant. And the way you can tell that these are constant, if I select all of them and hit T, you can see, I'm sorry, not constant, linear. They're linear because it's just a line. It's going from here to here. There's no variation. But if I hit T and then choose Bezier or Bezier, you can see now it's more on a curve, and then you can adjust the curves. And that will affect how that actually, the motion of that going in. And I'm actually going to undo that and undo that to make that linear again. I'm going to show you that on this one here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you on the movement of the shines, because I don't want the shines to be linear. Right now the shines are just going across, which is fine if that's what you want. But to add a little bit more flair, I'm going to deselect all and just select these here, just those two, and I'm going to hit T and then Bezier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this handle down here and just kind of pull that up a little bit, just like that. And the reason is because I want it to come in faster than it goes out. So it kind of shoots in and then slows down a little bit. It's like shoo. And again, it's probably going to be a little hard to see that with here, but I'm going to try. So then it just starts to slow down at the end there. So I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom shine. T to do a Bezier curve, and then come in and pull this up. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pause the video, and then I'm going to render this out and see what our result is so we can see the timing of everything. Okay, it's finished rendering, and let's see what we have. All right, so that's what it's going to look like. I like the speed of everything except for the, well, maybe everything is a little too fast, but I definitely don't like those shines being so quick. I like the motion, but it just going too fast. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust those. But that is what you can do if your computer is really slow. You can render it out in a little video and see that, and then you can kind of tweak things. And it is a little tedious that way, and then you have to render it out each time. But I'm actually not going to take you through all of that. Basically, it's just what I've been doing here. So you're just adjusting your keyframes, you're adjusting your graph to how you want everything to be. But that is kind of the workflow. And so then the final thing you would do is, after you got everything together just like this, in order to make it more easy and accessible, because you can see all of this here is just, that's a lot. Now I could just select everything and put them into a group or a meta strip, Control G, and then use that in my scene, make that overdrop. And then I can use that in my scene. But a better way, actually, is to create an image sequence, like we've done with our green screen and our little character here. So I'm going to Alt-G there. I'm going to select all of these here by hitting Control-click, and that should select all of those. And then just going to snap those to the end there. Like that. Okay, so what I do now is just render this out into an image sequence. Make sure that you hide your background because you just want this as an overlay. come over here, make sure this is at 100%. And then we don't want video anymore. We want PNG. RGBA, remember A is that alpha, that transparency. So if you keep RGB, you're going to have a black background here. And then I'm going to change this folder to a new folder that says MoGraph 0103. Enter and accept and save it, by the way. So I want to save that. All right. So I think that is all that I need to do. So I'm going to hit my animation button, and I'm going to quickly go over to our rendering tab to make sure it's rendering out. So our gray checkerboard is our transparency, which is good, and everything seems to be working just fine. So I'm going to save that out into an image sequence, and then we'll add it to the video that we are currently editing. Okay, so back over here in our B4B demo 605, Control-Shift-S to save that as another iteration. And I'm going to zoom in to where we left off after our wipeout. And then we talk about a motion graphic here.
Also learn how to make your own motion graphic.
So right when I say motion graphic,
Learn how to make your own.
Okay, so let's do Shift-A, add in an image. And we're going to go to our MoGraph 103, but that's not the one that I tweaked. So I actually tweaked another one here. I'm going to select all of them by pressing A, add image strip, make this overdrop, and
Own motion graphic title, just like the one I started with at the beginning of this video.
Perfect. All right, so this is the one that's I tweaked where the shine and everything, all the motions are exactly how I want it. That's going to take, as much time as you want. I'm pretty particular about those kind of things. But what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to change the location and the size of this. So I'm just going to, with this selected, Shift-A, add an effect strip transform. Make sure that's overdrop as well. And this transform, I'm going to hit uniform scale, and I'm going to start to scale that up. And we're going to change the position on the X and the Y to maybe about there. I'm going to maybe scale that down a little bit and just adjust that however.
How to make your own motion graphic title, just like the one I started with.
Bring that down just a little bit. There we go.
Your own motion graphic title, just like the one I started with at the beginning of this video. And who knows, somewhere along the line.
Perfect. Actually, that's really good timing with everything there. So that is it. That is how you can make a motion graphic using really simple tools, Google Slides, just images laying over on top of each other, and add that little extra shine for a professional looking graphic. All right, so I hope that was helpful. We're going to pick it up right here in the next video where we left off. And yeah, so stay tuned and you'll see me over there.